30 persons taken into detention in Westmoreland while well-known comedian Majah Hype in jail without bail. This is Undiluted News, Mikey Bones reporting. Well-known comedian Majah Hype is listed as an inmate in a prison in Georgia facing charges for battery, kidnapping and other felony charges and of making terrorist threats and acts, and he has been detained at the Cobb County Sheriff's Office Adult Detention Facility in Georgia for the past 4 days. The charges were in relation to a domestic abuse incident with his ex-girlfriend. Over in Jamaica, the Jamaica Teachers Association is calling for changes to the government's pension scheme for public school teachers to speed up payments for retired educators. And this appeal comes in light of an age-old complaint that some retired teachers are struggling to make ends meet and some are forced to wait for a protracted period before starting to receive their pension payments. And she's also proposing a 90-day turnaround period to be established for completing the process, leading to the commencement of pension disbursement once the requisite documents are properly authenticated. She's also insinuating that only when you have friends in high places does your application get processed on time. Meanwhile, a large police and military operation yesterday turned out in Lennox Big Woods, Westmoreland, resulted in the detention of 30 people. And during the operation, 2 illegal firearms, 1 a high-powered rifle, and a variety of ammunition were recovered. The Special Operations Branch Deputy Superintendent of Police Dwight Brown said that the operation's goal was to apprehend gang members who were responsible for a spike in violence in Westmoreland and other parishes. Several of the detainees are suspected of being responsible for a string of armed robberies in St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland that target supermarkets, stores, and automated teller machines. Major General Anthony Anderson, the police commissioner, is advising officers to take the appropriate precaution to safeguard themselves in the aftermath of recent criminal incidents. And in recent weeks, there have been numerous stories of criminals injuring or killing police personnel. In one of the assaults in York in St. Thomas, District Constable Mark Forsyth was slain. After a confrontation with the police in St. Thomas, a wanted man who was allegedly responsible for the death of the DC was fatally shot. The police commissioner claimed that the tools required for the police to defend themselves from criminals have been made available. General Anderson also stated that he anticipates his police officers will triumph and that they will prevail in every encounter between law enforcement and criminals. A lot of police officers, when off duty, they have no weapon to protect themselves. So when he said that they are given the tools to defend themselves from criminals, that is not a great statement. There has been another attempt to steal the contents of an automated banking machine in Western Jamaica again. The most recent incident took place yesterday in Hopewell Square in Hanover. The circumstances surrounding the incident said to be the second such incident in the parish in a little over a month, but it is unclear at the moment. While there have been 3 others across the island, 2 in Westmoreland and 1 in Clarendon. In Florida, a TV reporter and a 9-year-old girl were fatally shot on Wednesday in Orlando, Florida, close to the scene of a murder that took place just hours earlier. The girl's mother and another reporter were also shot and injured by the same gunman, who is also the suspect in the first homicide, police said. According to reports, the journalist was covering the killing of a woman in the area on Wednesday morning when the armed suspect returned. After attacking the journalist, the gunman, Keith Moses, who is 19 years old, went into a nearby home and shot a girl and her mother, Orange County Sheriff John Mina said. The mother has been hospitalized in critical condition. The suspect has a lengthy criminal history to include gun charges, aggravated battery and assault with a deadly weapon, burglary and grand theft charges, so he's a known criminal in that neighborhood. The sheriff described him as an acquaintance of the first woman who was shot and killed in the morning, but he had no connection to the reporters, nor the connection to the mother and the 9-year-old girl whom got shot afterwards. Back in Jamaica, Councilman Skian Barneswell of the People's National Party claims that the delay in the local government election deprives the populace of adequate representation. And in order to postpone the election until next February, the government utilized its majority on Tuesday to approve legislation in the House of Representatives. But Mr. Barneswell believes that the action has removed the electorate of the right to remove ineffective councillors and to fill current vacancies. He pointed out that more than 10 divisions now do not have a councillor. The St. Anne police have accosted a man accused of fatally stabbing another man in Ocho Rio, St. Anne on Wednesday afternoon. Police reports said that the man who allegedly fled the scene after the incident was later arrested. The deceased, who is not yet formally identified, went by the alias Haitian. Head of operations for the St. Ann Police Deputy Superintendent Kevin Francis said at about 3 o'clock an altercation developed between both men when knives were brought into play. Haitian was stabbed and died on the spot. And following an incident in St. Catherine on Friday, February 17, a man was charged with injuring with intent using a handgun to conduct a felony and violating the terms and conditions of a firearm authorization. Mark Chen, a technician from New Harbour Village in Old Harbour in the parish, is the accused. According to information from the Old Harbour Police, Chen, a licensed owner of a pistol, got into an argument with a man at a bar at about 9 p.m. And according to reports, Chen brandished his gun, grabbed the victim by the throat, and then shot him in the face. The man was helped to hospital where he was treated. Chen later turned himself in, and his firearm, a six-saw pistol with a magazine containing 16 rounds of ammunition, was also seized. And after a question and answer session with his attorney present, he was charged. Meanwhile, a 54-year-old woman was shot and killed Wednesday night while standing on the steps of her home at Cousins Cove in Hanover. Businesswoman Paulette Baker Frame of Cousins Cove address had just got home from church when the incident occurred. According to police, her brother picked her up from church and dropped her off at her gate. She entered her yard, her brother left in his car, and shortly after that, gunshots were heard. Frame's brother reportedly tried reaching her by phone, but he got no answer, so he reportedly rushed back to the home and saw that she had been shot. She died on the spot. Onto sports, the warm-up game between the West Indies and South African Invitational 11 ended in a draw on Thursday at the Willamore Park in Benoni. South Africa's Invitational 11 was bowled out for 317 runs on day 2 in response to the West Indies, who made 289 for 3. And the first test against South Africa will get underway next Tuesday. Football, former national striker Darren Mattocks has called time on his playing career after deciding to turn to Christ. Mattocks said the decision to draw closer to God came 2 years ago while playing in Phoenix, Arizona. According to Mattocks, there is more satisfaction in what he's doing now than in his playing days. The 32-year-old Mattocks played 50 times for the Reggae Boys, scoring 18 times. And he's considered one of the greatest strikers to come from Jamaica, and from my observation, was stifled by the Jamaican coaches and the Jamaica Football Federation, who have him sitting on the bench too many times with less influential strikers on the field. Up to now, he still didn't even get called back for playing for Jamaica after so many years of playing good football for them. Yes, he get a big fight by the Jamaican coaches. Omar Williams scored a second-half hat-trick to lead Harmony FC of Trelawney to a 4-0 hammering of Sandy Bay Football Club of Hanover on Wednesday round of matches in the Jamaica Football Federation Tier 2 playoff at Irwin High School in St. James. Goshen Football Club of St. Elizabeth beat Los Perfectos of Manchester 2-0, while Tuscany Warriors of Westmoreland were also 2-0 winners over Reggae Youths of St. James. And this is Jamaica Football Federation Tier 2 playoff. And while the other game between Grace Inn and Brownstown, that game ended in a 2-2 draw. Meanwhile, this year's Gibson Makok Relay begins tomorrow, and organizers said that they believe that this Saturday's staging could be the biggest in the history of the championship. The one-day track and field spectacular celebrate its 50th year will see 2,100 athletes participating in 43 events where a few records have been forecast. Sprint legend Usain Bolt is the patron for this year's meet. And if you ever miss the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube and type in Jamaican Undiluted News. Listen, like, share, and subscribe, and keep it going. And that's going to be news on your favorite community radio station. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.